What if I told you one of the most celebrated epics of the 2000s almost broke its star? It gambled with real tigers and rebuilt Rome from the ground up. Literally. That a veteran actor challenged Russell Crowe to outact him and never lived to see the finished film. And that the Colosseum you're looking at is part stone, part scholarship, and part digital resurrection. This is the untold story of Gladiator, 2000, how a handful of brutal choices and beautiful details turned a risky production into a modern legend. Here are 10 jaw-dropping facts you probably never heard. Let's begin.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
Number 10. He wasn't acting. The real duel behind the cameras. Oliver Reed looked Russell Crowe dead in the eye and made a promise. I'm going to outact you. And he meant it. For real. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't an insult. It was a gauntlet thrown down by a legend who'd spent decades proving himself. Reed delivered that line with that roguish grin that said he meant every word. And Crowe, he took it seriously. Deadly seriously. What you're watching in every scene between Maximus and Proximo isn't just scripted dialogue. It's a real competition happening in real time. Two actors pushing each other toward better choices, sharper instincts, more truthful moments. Their exchanges crackle with genuine energy because the stakes were real for both men. Not life and death, but something actors understand just as deeply. Legacy, respect, and the question of who would own the screen when they shared it. Then, in May 1999, tragedy struck. Reed died suddenly. He tragically passed away in Malta during a break from filming. He'd completed most of his scenes, but crucial moments remained, including Proximo's death sequence. The production faced an impossible choice: recast and reshoot, or push forward with technology that had never been tested at this scale. They chose to honor Reed. Using body doubles, digital face replacement, and existing footage, they created his final performance posthumously. It was one of the earliest uses of such techniques in a major production, and it holds up because they treated it reverently. They weren't creating a special effect, they were completing a colleague's last act. So yes, Reed was acting as he performed besides Russell Crowe. But he was also really trying to outperform Russell Crowe. That challenge elevated every moment between them. Reed kept his promise. He outacted everyone right up until the end.
Win the crowd, and you'll win your freedom.
Number 9. Rebuilding Rome. By hand, then by history. Before visual effects, they built structures. In the Gladiator, they built a 50-foot 1/3 scale Colosseum right in Malta. It was massive enough to stage real combat. The rest of the structures was extended with CGI, not guessed but modeled from ancient architectural sources, so the digital stones matched Rome's memory. The production team worked with historians and archaeologists to understand the Colosseum's original specifications: the slope of the seats, the corridor placement, even the way light would have fallen across the sand. When Film was given the task to extend the structure digitally, they were completing a puzzle started nearly 2 millennia ago. The 2,000 real extras on the set became the foundation for 35,000 digital spectators created by Film. The construction portion of the Colosseum took months and employed local Maltese craftsmen. What you see isn't a Hollywood facade in California. Those steps you see were climbed thousands of times during production in Malta. That sand absorbed actual blood from actual falls while filming. The wear isn't artificially aged, it's genuine use during a shooting schedule.
What we doing live? Echoes in eternity.
Number 8. Rome. But not in Rome. Most of Rome's world was not shot in Italy at all. The production split between Malta and Morocco, chasing landscapes. Malta offered Fort Ricasoli, a 17th century fortification strong enough to support a reconstructed ancient Rome. Morocco delivered Ouarzazate, a landscape so timelessly stark it could pass for any frontier where the empire ended and the wild began. This geographic flexibility solved practical problems. Morocco's weather was predictable, and local labor costs allowed bigger sets and more craftsmen. Sometimes authenticity isn't about the original GPS coordinates, it's about finding spaces that can hold the truth of what you're trying to say.
People should know when they're conquered.
Number 7. The night the forest really burned. That opening battle? The flames weren't pixels. The team used real flamethrowers in Bourne Woods near Surrey, England. Through the winter air, the team dealt with rolling fire and smoke. Real gasoline-fed flames erupted on cue, engulfing practice dummies dressed as Germanic warriors. The smoke wasn't atmospheric fog. It was actual combustion, thick and choking. Russell Crowe later admitted the sequence terrified him. When you watch Maximus move through that inferno, the sweat on his face isn't makeup, and the flinches aren't acting. The heat was real enough to singe hair. Health and safety officers stood just outside frame, but once action was called, everyone inside that tree line was in genuine danger. You feel it because the danger was present.
Let me go, huh?
Number 6. The body that paid for Rome. Russell Crowe didn't mime pain. He earned it. Doing his own stunts, Crowe suffered a torn bicep, an injured hip and foot damage. Several hits left marks. Between takes, he limped. Crowe trained for months with former Special Air Service soldiers to learn authentic sword techniques. The choreography was designed not for flash, but for the brutal efficiency of Roman combat doctrine: short, vicious, and economical. The injuries accumulated. A bicep tear required medical intervention but not shutdown. Crowe worked through it. His feet were battered by constant impacts on sand and stone, wrapped and re-wrapped between takes. The physical toll never softened his performance. If anything, the pain sharpened it, lending Maximus a quality of endurance that transcends acting. You're watching someone channel actual suffering into something purposeful and controlled.
At my signal, unleash hell.
Number 5. Yes, those tigers were real. No animatronics, no cartoon threats. Real tigers shared the sand with Crowe, with handlers off camera holding tranquilizer guns, just in case. The sequence used 5 different tigers, each with specialized trainers who'd worked with them for years. The tigers were kept hungry enough to maintain interest in the prey triggers placed around the arena. Crowe wore protective padding beneath his costume, not enough to stop a determined bite, but enough to potentially prevent a killing blow if something went wrong. Between takes, the atmosphere was tense. Big cats are fundamentally unpredictable. The crew worked in near silence, minimizing sudden movements or sounds that might trigger a chase response. When you watch Crowe's eyes in those moments, you're seeing genuine calculation. He's monitoring the animal's body language, measuring distance, staying aware enough to react if the script suddenly stops mattering because he is being attacked by a large tiger.
Are you not entertained?
Number 4. Armor that talks, if you know how to listen. Costume wasn't clothing, it was story. Maximus's breastplate wolf nods to Rome's founding myth and to the lone protector he becomes. His sword carries Latin blessings, prayers etched into steel for a soldier who holds nothing back for himself. The armor's real weight, up to 50 pounds, drags at his shoulders. You can see it change his posture. Costume designer Janty Yates researched museum collections across Europe, studying how Roman armor functioned. The Larica segmentata is based on archaeological finds, constructed from actual steel plates. The wolf emblem connects Maximus to Romulus and Remus, marking him as both devoted to Rome's ideals and separate from its corrupted present. Number 3. The wheat means even more than what you think. The hand in the field isn't just poetry. For Romans, paradise, Elysium, was a harvest without end. Each time Maximus brushes the wheat, the film whispers its destination. Not spectacle in the combat arena, but a home for the soul at the end of suffering. The image appears 3 times. First, as memory, his hand trailing through golden stalks, his family waiting. Second, as loss, the fields burned, the dream utterly destroyed. Third, as promise, the final vision as he dies, walking toward his wife and son through endless harvest. This isn't accidental symbolism. Elysium in Roman belief was specifically described as eternal fields where heroes rested after death. The wheat is theological. It tells us where Maximus is going and how his suffering will end.
Death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back.
Number 2. Crowd noise. From 2,000 years ago. Listen closely during the arena sequences. The Latin chants aren't gibberish. They're drawn from historical records of actual games, phrases spectators once shouted in blood and dust. The sound design team researched ancient graffiti found in Pompeii, where spectators carved their favorite gladiators' names and commentary about the games. They consulted classical texts describing arena crowds, the calls for mercy, the demands for death, the chants celebrating fighters. This material was translated, taught to extras, and recorded in layers. What you hear isn't modern people pretending. It's modern people channeling specific historical expressions of bloodlust and judgment. The film doesn't merely recreate Rome, it borrows its voice. Number 1. Why the Gladiator still echoes today. Build what you can touch, risk what you can feel. Tell a story in symbols so strong a glance at a breastplate or a field of wheat can break your heart. That's Gladiator. It endures because beneath the CGI and choreography beats a stubborn human truth. Honor can be quiet and still conquer an empire. The massive sets create scale, but the scale makes one man's grief feel universal. The dangerous stunts risk real bodies because the movie is about what bodies endure and what spirits survive. When Maximus falls and the crowd goes silent, when his hand finally reaches that wheat, we're witnessing the completion of a promise. That one man's dignity, pursued with absolute conviction, can outlast empires. That's the legacy. That's why we're still talking about it 25 years later. If Gladiator moved you, watch The Last of the Mohicans. It has the same fierce authenticity, stunning cinematography, practical action, and a hero who stakes everything on honor. Think Maximus in the Roman arena, but transposed to the raw pulse of frontier warfare with one of the most powerful scores you'll ever hear. You won't regret it.